Welcome to Title Talk with your host, Drew Wishover, entrepreneur, a published author, and owner of Inspired Title Group, along with his co-host and CEO, Amy Maley. Each week, they offer you some laughs, industry terminology, tips and strategies, along with the occasional real estate professional to help educate you as it pertains to buying, selling, or just plain old homeownership. Thanks for spending time with them. Now, let's jump into today's episode of Title Talk. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome to our Thursday edition of Title Talk. My name's Drew.
My name is Amy. Title Talk.
I was
it's
just
my
trying
new
to
favorite thing.
Yeah, well, I was just trying to, mimic the our voiceover guy. So I just wanted to, just hear what
Sounds
that would sound
pretty
like.
good.
That's cool. So
Sounds pretty good.
we are here on another Thursday morning, and today we are going to bring to you guys some conversations about some things that are going on in the market, our market trends, and talking a little bit about maybe what you could look for or to expect in the year to come and into the fourth quarter of this year. So,
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we are Inspired Title Group.
We are Inspired Title Group.
Are we the title company that cares?
We are the title company that cares, located at 11757 Southwest Highway in Palos, and also with our office in St. John, Indiana at 7800 Wicker Avenue. So we are here for all your Illinois and Indiana real estate needs.
We are, and I'm just this banner is killing me. I absolutely love
Isn't
our
it
backdrops
sick?
as of late. So I hope you guys are, we've gotten some comments on it, and people have been really taking kindly to some of that fun.
Way to
But
go, Brett.
I really, am glad that we were able to introduce this whole production piece.
Is it getting easier, Brett?
Yes.
Good.
Good.
Well, that's a good
Good.
thing.
Well,
We
that's
don't like
good.
stressing.
So
And
now-
then you guys get more difficult.
Right, now we need to challenge it up.
Don't worry, we got ideas.
Yes, well, we do have ideas. So why don't we go into the...
This talk is not going to go well.
You don't think so?
Because we are supposed to know something. Like, speak like we know something right now.
You don't think we know something?
I know a lot, but I just don't think it's going to be presented right with how we're talking today.
It's okay. There are days and times that you can be off. There are some days that you just gel and just flow. But, I would say here at Inspired, we are very consumed. There are a lot of exciting things on the horizon. I think
We just have a lot going on.
there is, and it's something that really, it's exciting, and
But you don't realize like how much of a toll it takes on your everyday normalcy when
Well,
you're thinking about all this stuff.
this is really, really a good segue into what we're about
Yeah.
to talk about,
Yeah.
because something that I have talked about a lot over this weekend with family and friends was giving advice on the market and the business and
Mm-hmm.
what we do. One of the statements that I've made, if I've said it 5 times, I've said it 50, this weekend, that as I've evolved, and we started this as a small, tiny title company. This was never anything that I, had any big aspirations to be and do. Now where it is crazy to me. But yet I really said to myself, as well as the folks I was talking to, that as I got older, I never thought that I would be as busy as I am. And I thought things would kind of just level out and slow
Taper out,
down.
yeah.
My incline is just gone straight up, and I'm thankful.
You're blessed,
I'm
you're thankful,
I'm
yeah.
I'm so humble for that, because I still have this small company mentality,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously my coach is telling me and teaching me that, hey, Drew, recognize the success, wrap your arms around the positivity of what
Mm-hmm.
that growth is now, and really cherish and understand it. And it's so very difficult, because I never inspired to be what this is, and it's awesome, but yet it is a little bit overwhelming.
And it's a weird mentality thinking that the opposite thing would be happening right now.
I mean, Amy, you've been part of this now for what, 5 years?
Mhm.
So
5.5.
you've gotten to know a lot about the industry and the inner workings of my day-to-day and what we do and how we're growing.
Mm-hmm.
I still have that small business mentality.
Yeah.
I was always about any job that was presented, take, just grab it, because you never know.
You never know, right?
And I'm still doing that to a degree, but now there's an opportunity where you go, I don't necessarily want that one. That one looks a
doesn't
little
feel
scary.
right,
This
yeah.
one. So you're a little bit more picky and choosy on the opportunities because of just what these blessed moments are with growth. So
And I feel like it's like the more I'm in, I feel like running titles now is more complicated than it was 5 years ago. Like I feel there's either
Sure.
less releases being recorded or more liens being filed. Like I feel like now it's more detective work than it was 5 years ago.
Sure.
It's just a weird thing.
It is. So we're gonna kind of talk about the market trends and what's happening in 2021 and maybe into the 2022 future, because I think there's a lot of people. It's a question that I'm commonly asked. I'm sure you're even getting that question in your circle of friends. And you know, what's going on? Why is it so busy? What does this mean? How does this look? What's going to happen later?
Right.
And
No one can predict the future, but we
No.
could use our knowledge to give you an idea of what could be happening in the next
I mean, absolutely,
handful of months.
we're certainly not the analysts in this area, but we are in this industry and we
Every
work in
day.
this business every day, and we are following market trends, and we are hearing and seeing the differences that are happening in everyday life. So why don't we talk a little bit about what has been going on in 2021 and what that looks like going forward, and maybe some things to look out for or to expect. Do you want to start, or what do you want to do?
You can
here?
start. Why don't you take
Okay.
it off and then I can piggyback?
Yeah, cool. So one of the questions that
A
is-
big question.
is
that
very common
Yeah.
is there likely going to be a crash of this market?
And when you think of crash, what do you think of? Like,
I go back to what I know, which was the 2006, 7, 8 years when the market was
And
really upside
I was
down.
going to say, could you give like a 30-second recap of what that looked like as far
Yeah.
as
Yeah, that was a big time of the foreclosure time, which was really indicative of the second mortgages. What happened a lot was the lenders would when people didn't have the 80-20, 20% down.
so that means you're not FHA, a conventional loan.
You'd come in with 20% to put down on your $100,000, so you'd have an $80,000 loan. What they would do is they would create a second mortgage for that 20% down at a
Correct.
little bit of a higher interest rate because it's a second mortgage. Well, reality was people couldn't. That really made people not afford those homes.
People were buying houses that they shouldn't have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of the lenders and mortgage brokers made a ton of money because of the origination fees and such, that folks realized after a period of doing this that they couldn't afford what their monthly payments were. So therefore, the foreclosure crash took place. And that was
The time of short sales, foreclosure, and they
Just-
were every
just a horrible
Yeah.
period of time. But I'll tell you, with every bad situation, it's a learning
a
experience.
learning experience.
You know,
for
every
sure.
scar you have is a story. And as I watched that and lived through it, and business was crazy in that circled around that, and it was something that we dealt with. So that
Yeah.
crash was something I felt was inevitable. And I'm not a market analysis to say that. I'm saying it was inevitable based on all the trends and things that happened. So now,
I just thought it'd be interesting to be able
Absolutely.
to compare and contrast like what 2022 versus 2008 was.
for sure, and people say, well, gee, with the pandemic and now with interest rates being low and market prices being high, this thing's got to crash, right? And everything that we read, everything that we're sitting here, will it crash in 2022?
I'm actually pleasantly surprised by, because we've been thinking about this, talking about this for, the
Yes.
last couple days, and I've actually been pleasantly surprised that they don't think that there's going to be a repeat of 2008 in 2022,
Right.
is what the general consensus is in the market analysis.
Yeah, I mean, it's they're saying words like it's highly unlikely,
Highly unlikely.
which is great because based on current trends, the housing market is not going down that path because, in their opinion, that it really comes down to supply and
Supply
demand
and demand.
imbalances, and supply and demand imbalances is exactly what we're living through,
100%.
right?
Well, because they were saying, like, in 2008, I think there was a ton of new construction happening, right? Like, there were these houses that just kept bouncing, like, coming up everywhere. So the demand was super, super low. So, I'm sorry, the supply was really high. The demand was able to be met by the houses that were getting built.
Right.
And that's not at all what's happening right now.
Right. I
It's,
mean, the inventory of houses is so low.
it's so low.
So usually indicative of a crash is inventory being high. People
Correct.
are trying to sell their homes
Correct.
because they're in trouble.
Yes.
Well, people aren't selling their homes.
No.
People are trying to buy homes,
Yes.
which is the antithesis of what we just talked about.
Correct.
So that's what gives the analysts this ability to look at this and say, well, gee, people aren't selling their homes, the inventory is low, and they're getting more money for those houses that are selling because of the supply and demand issue. It leads to say, gee, I don't think that trend is
Correct.
on the horizon.
Correct. And it's a weird thing because so a lot of people are looking to buy.
Yes.
Not a lot of people are looking to sell. So is this like a weird population thing where people that were renting for a long time are now looking to buy homes? You know what I mean? Like, did you ever think about it that way,
Well,
or
and
what
it-
causes this, or it's just
Obviously,
kind of part of the
home
way?
rentals are up, home buys are up, but the millennials are in this marketplace, and the millennials right now are really driving this
Mm-hmm.
thing too, because they're the ones that are out there seeking to be homeowners, right? I mean, Brittany's a prime example of that, but if they're seeking to be homeowners in this marketplace, the reality is they're gonna go out and pursue buying a house.
Correct.
But when there's no inventory out there, they're falling into this rental place where these
Right.
rental numbers are just more than mortgages are.
It's insane to me. It is absolutely insane to me that like
It's
what people like
supply and demand.
what people spend to have nothing to show at
I
the
mean,
end of
it's
it. Like that's the
just-
crazy part to me.
It's just supply and demand. I mean,
Yeah.
we're seeing these overheated battles
Mm-hmm.
that are driving these markets up, driving these prices up.
For sure.
I mean, Brittany, did you overbid? You know, you overbid on your home a little bit, right? So I mean, truthfully, when you look at a millennial going, okay, I'm approved for X amount of dollars, and then you realize that X amount of dollars is still not enough
Correct.
to get you your home. The inflation of this, so that's the other wonderment. Is this inflation bubble going to burst, causing the market to crash? That's not the case.
That hasn't been
That's
said
not-
by anyone.
That's not the case. That's
Um,
not the case. The analysts and economists recently predicted a continued rise in home prices through the end of 21 and into 22.
Not as steep of a rise
Right.
is what they're saying. Like it's been here, and now they're thinking it'll taper off a tiny bit.
Right. So as long as home prices are rising,
That's a good thing.
it's not going to
A
crash.
crash won't happen. Yeah.
You know, and so we're hearing all the good things
That we want to hear in this business.
right, that lend to not equating to what the flip side of this would be in that crashing thing.
Correct.
The thing that we do know about the real estate market, and something that is consistent, is it always corrects itself.
The roller coaster.
It is, and we talked about that a little bit last week when
Mhm.
we talked about our foreclosures and short sale issues. And in order for the market to stabilize, after it goes radical one way or the other, the opposite has to happen to bring it to some kind of a
Absolutely.
balance. The prior talk of 2006, 7, 8,
Mm-hmm.
where the 80-20, the market couldn't sustain that type of product anymore. These folks couldn't handle their house. They're going out there, they're looking for foreclosures, short sales, and just flat
Yep.
out selling their houses. The inventory was great, but there was
Yes.
nobody to buy them.
Correct. 100%. So what it looks like they're saying is 2022 is going to be kind of a year of normalcy, where the supply and demand will kind of level itself out, where the demand will go down a tiny bit, supply for houses will go up a little bit, and we'll kind of find that happy medium. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, if you could hold on to your house for another year and maybe start looking in 2022,
Yeah.
it might be a good thing to do. Because Joe and I are talking about moving
Yeah.
at some point, maybe to a Lockport, Lamont, but we're not getting kicked out of our house. We love our house.
Right, right.
So we're gonna stay in there throughout the end of the year and kind of see where 2022 goes from there.
But to offset what you said,
Mm-hmm.
if you're on the fence and if it's something that you're considering, now is the time, no better than any other,
Because
to
of-
sell the house
yes.
because of the demand for your house. So
It
if,
all kind of levels out.
if you want to get top dollar,
Sell
now's the
now.
time to sell it. But if
Go
you
live
want to
with
pay
your
top
parents for a
dollar,
while. Coming
Right.
home, mom and dad.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. If you want to get top dollar, sell your house. If you want to pay top dollar, buy a
Buy a
house.
house. It's a double-edged sword.
Right?
If you're
It-
selling a house, you'll probably be buying.
It doesn't go
No.
one and not the other. They are hand in hand.
Yeah.
If you're if you're selling for low, you're buying for low. If you're selling for high, you're buying for high. It's just the market.
Like I said, sell now, go live with your parents.
That's the only way. Sell now and pay higher rent.
No, parents don't charge rent. My mom and dad.
I'm coming to live with Fritz and Roseanne.
You
then.
should come with Fritz and Roseanne. We got one extra bedroom.
The other trend that has been taking place that is kind of counterbalancing our talk about a crash or what the trend looks like is there are less defaults on mortgages today.
And that was one of the not surprising, but one of the good things to be kept in the forefront of.
Do you have an idea of maybe why that is?
Because banks are smarter. Because banks aren't letting these I think banks have a tighter grip on what they actually want to lend out.
I'll agree with that. The criteria to lend right now is a little bit more strict, but also the interest rates being
Interest rates
low,
are so low.
It gives people a bigger bang for their buck, so they're it's more affordable.
Yeah.
And that's why there are this influx of buyers because borrowing money is cheap right now.
It is so cheap right now.
So that's why buyers coming out of the woodwork of going, look, this is a great opportunity to buy because interest rates are low. I can get top dollar for my house. Wow, this is awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, but I can't find another home. So these are not typically things that we hear in a down market, in a market that is headed for a wall. This is still an up market. It may not be as up as it was in the first quarter of the year.
For sure.
But like Amy said, the curve has maybe leveled out a little bit more, but it's not as steep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's still going up.
The fact that mortgage delinquencies are down,
Which
and that's
is great.
reported. That's right out of banks.
Right.
That report is right from the banks.
And that's
not
huge because that's honestly one of the
Right.
things I was worrying about that would cause this market crash.
right.
Like the forbearances running out, and we've talked about that
Yes.
before.
Yes.
Like initially when this pandemic started and they were issuing these forbearance agreements, I was like, well, what if these people don't get jobs? What if these people aren't able to pay back on their mortgages? Like we're screwed, and I don't want to see that for anybody,
Mhm.
But it does seem like banks that number is lower than initially anticipated.
Which is again really great. If you want to follow market trends and if you want these things answered, if you want just a little idea, I think what we're providing here today is kind of some simple little guidelines to follow or to watch to see where things are going. If you hear a lot about banks coming after people or people defaulting on their loan, if you see that, oh my gosh, there's a ton of inventory in the sales market, now there is a reason to be concerned.
Right.
Those are quickly measurable things that can tell you a little bit about why this would go in that direction.
And that's a change as to what people are anticipating to see. So if you see a huge swing, like you said, if you see a ton of houses on the market and stuff, then the forecast that they were predicting has been shifting a little bit. So I would say that would be the time to kind of keep an eye on what's going on.
And I don't want to misguide and mislead anybody. I mean, the reality is that we're specifically speaking of the Indiana-Illinois market. The markets across the city may differ very greatly.
The country.
Yeah, they really. Did I say country? I said city, right? The market. Thank you, because again, I can't speak. The wide variety across the country with markets, because there are areas that are hot. There are areas that are.
There's pockets.
Kinda,
yeah,
definitely. I think that's
this
also
is just
something
a standard Illinois,
to
Indiana.
consider. The thing that is happening, which is a little bit difficult to kind of comprehend for me, is that the medium home prices are way up. We're talking about like $270,000. That's your entry level home.
That's insane.
I mean, that takes into
That's
effect,
great.
but it's a big number.
That's a big number for what people are getting paid.
Well, but pay has increased.
Pay
as
has
well,
increased,
right?
yes.
Hourly wage has increased
It
and
has.
such, but
that's a lofty number.
it is a really difficult thing to comprehend that the first time home buyer, the kids of today, are out there looking at a home that's $270,000 on average. I mean,
That's great.
just round it up and call it $300,000. I mean, when I was looking for my first home back in the day of getting into I think it was like 150,000.
Yeah,
it's
300
doubled.
is a chunky number. That's aggressive.
But this is what I've told a lot of young investors. if you want to make money, and I don't, nothing's a guarantee, and you got to write it out, but the real estate market is always a good investment because it is something that it appreciates, but it maintains an 8 to 10% return over the period of the time you hold the money or you are investing in the project. Yes, you may lose 10% one year, but you're going to gain 30 the next. I mean,
Right.
it is that roller coaster we speak of, but on an average, if you look at it over a period of 10 years or longer, it always averages out to almost a double-digit return. So real estate is a good investment. And when I speak real estate, I say that buying a home. You know, a lot of I mentor and counsel a lot of young folks, and a lot of young folks, the question is, you know, I want to buy a car, I want to buy this. Those are all depreciating assets. If you start buying a depreciating asset, you know, that car is $25,000, $30,000. You drive it off the lot, it's now 17,
That's why
18.
you buy used cars.
Right. You buy cars when they don't matter anymore, meaning you're not at a point in your life where it's something that is a budgeted or financial piece of your life. So depreciating assets versus an appreciating asset like a home makes just sense to do. So certainly if you guys have more questions about this, we're here. We're definitely
I will drive
able
baby blue until she don't drive no more.
Yeah, absolutely. We're here to answer any questions that you might have. We're here to kind of talk some shop with you and really help you guys out through this process. What other fun you got over there in your world
I mean,
there?
I think we wrapped up pretty much. We talked a little bit about construction.
Right. Right.
So thankfully our development company is, we're building a couple of houses a year. We're doing some rehabs. But that's what I was talking about in 2008 when there was just such a high inventory.
Yeah.
And that's how it's different now, especially because lumber is $700,000.
Well, and even the commodity of lumber has kind of leveled off, and we are able to see that in our development place, in the development company, because that was incrementally going up for most of this year. We're starting to see where it is leveling off, which is, again, indicative of the fact that things are kind of,
Hold that thought.
we're out.
It was said it was interrupted.
But I still am talking, and I think that mine's still going, which is kind of crazy.
Is it?
So we may have a technical difficulty, but I'll keep talking until I'm told that I'm not. And as the girls check their phones, it looks like we're still live. But I am going
Kind of
to.
live. Yeah, we're good. Sorry about that.
No problem. Again, technical difficulties always happen. We just kind of roll with this stuff. But lumber is a measure. Your mortgage rates are definitely your home inventory. Looking at people defaulting on their loans. Those are just a couple things that you can keep track of and keep an eye on to see where we are in the marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that it's something to follow. Just maybe give you guys a couple tools of some market trends that we're seeing and what we're hearing. So hopefully this has been helpful for you
stuff
guys
to look for, stuff to.
Yeah, and as we said, if there are questions, if you've got some concerns and such, we're definitely available to talk to. You can always reach out to our friends here at the office, and happy to guide you down that path. So that was our market trends segment.
That was
How do you
pretty
like
good.
that? Huh?
I liked it.
Good.
Pretty informative.
Well,
Great
and,
kind of.
and that's what we try to do. Something that we set a goal for this show is to literally have some fun, have some laughs, get to know a little bit about us as a company, the different people, bring in some guests, but truly teach, truly bring a learning experience and value to you guys as the listeners, and things that are going on in the market, and things to watch out for, and ways that you can look for help or get some help. So
we're here for you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We thank you guys for tuning in each week. So we're gonna wrap this baby up with our quote of the day. What you got?
My quote today is, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change the way you think about it.
Bingo. Who wrote that, Aim?
That was Mary Engelbright.
I love that saying. It's one of my favorites as well.
It's so good.
It's so great. It's so
good.
great. So some things are better left unsaid, which I generally realize right after I've said them. So darn true.
Word vomit.
So darn true in my world. Like, yeah, can I get that
thing
one
I
back?
just said,
Can I get that? I need that one back. So,
Reel it in.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining. We're again here, blessed to be here in front of you. We're thankful for you tuning in each week. We are Inspired Title. We are the title company that cares. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram.
TikTok,
Brittany's TikToking this bad boy up
Yes.
soon. We got some different opportunities. So
social media.
social media it up, kids. Like us. Thanks so much for joining. What do you got, Aim, to close it out? Anything good?
Not really. You
All right.
kind of stole the thunder. It was awesome.
Thanks. I tried not to do that. But, until next week, everybody. My name's Drew.
And my name is Amy.
Thank you so much for joining. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.